Welcome in, everyone. Welcome back to the Luckybet podcast. Dylan Corbett here with us today. And happy birthday a day late.
Yes, thank you. Monday, got to enjoy it. I was kind of saying, post 25, you kind of are in denial every birthday. You're like, damn, it's a year older. But yeah, 28 for me. So appreciate it. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem. I saw a post about it either yesterday or today. So I
Sure.
figured I'd tell you happy birthday here on the podcast. Mr. Dylan Corbett, 28 years old man over there.
Yes, let's win some money now.
Yes, sir. All right. So week one, holy shit, to be honest. I mean, there was some wild games. You had Pittsburgh and Cincinnati. That game was wild in itself. However many missed field goals, missed opportunities, all of that. I mean, and it wasn't the only game in overtime that you were like, this could be a tie because Houston and Indy.
Yeah.
And how the hell's Houston tie Indy? I mean, that was, I mean, I know how. Watching, because I didn't have the game that I was able to pull up. So I was watching the play-by-play.
Yeah.
I can tell you how the Colts didn't win that game.
Well, I told you it was
4 straight times inside the 5 instead of handing it off to the best running back in the league.
It was my oh crap game of the week. I told you they were about to lose. It was, I was lamenting about how my fandom has killed me this year. You know what? I'll take the tie. I thought we were going to lose 20-3. You said it. We could have won if we just handed it off to Jonathan Taylor. We could have won if Rodrigo Blankenship kicked the field goal. Kickers had a bad day. Week one, my goodness, look at that Steelers Bengals game you just talked about. Yeah, carnage. I mean, like the first noon slate of the week was insane. You thought the Lions game was done. Oh wait, here they come, backdoor cover the Eagles. It was insane. The Bears, an outright win. Also on that Colts tie, a lot of survivor people, because ties count as losses. So a ton of people, like 50% of leagues got decimated, cut in half after week one. And it's just the NFL, baby. That's all it does.
Yeah. And I mean, the Sunday night game, I was really hoping for a lot. I had Dak Prescott as a fantasy quarterback, breaks his hand. Game wasn't going great anyway. And then my Broncos decide to just not, I don't even know. There were so many problems with it. Made a tweet about it, posted on Facebook about it was just bad play calling, shouldn't have been in that situation anyway. And then you got a minute left, 3 timeouts, 4th and 5. You're gonna choose a 64-yard field. I mean, Brandon McManus has a big leg, but if you can get a little closer, go for it. I mean, shit, 64 yards. That's 2 yards longer than his career long. I mean, that's just a silly thing to me. But
what did you make of Russ in his debut? Obviously, you kind of alluded to your head coach in his debut. And then what are your kind of expectations going forward? You liked him in the division. Was that a humbling Monday night?
I mean, you got to figure none of the starters played during the preseason. The preseason's there for a reason, especially if you have a new quarterback. None of that happened. So it could take 3 to 4 games for everything to finally start meshing together. But I'm not too happy about it. Not too excited for the next few weeks. Hopefully get it together. But we do have the Texans this week. So who the hell knows what's going to happen?
Watch out. That's the beauty of the NFL, though, is you can get up to 6 losses, and still be a viable playoff team. But yeah, week one always hurts the most.
Oh, yeah. All right, let's hop into lines. I don't remember all the lines that I bet on last week. I do know one of them was the Cardinals. That was a big mistake. The Chiefs, they're going to be just fine.
Yep.
They played outstanding. And the Minnesota Vikings, I called that one. I knew it was going to be rough for Green Bay, and dear God, it was rough. But let me get into my lines here. So I'm going to go with the Kansas City Chiefs versus Los Angeles Chargers on Thursday night. Give me the over there. Not taking either team, just over 54.5 points.
Yep.
That seems very doable. It seems like it's going to be a 30 30-point game for both teams, 40-point game for both teams. That one's going to be a lot of fun. So give me the over on that one.
Yeah, Thursday, you said it. I tailed you with the Cardinals, ended up playing them. That bet was over before it even began. Cardinals have an interesting game coming up this week, too. Yeah, Chargers, that was one where it's like everyone loves the Raiders. Nope, Chargers get in, ho-hum, they cover. So two teams that cover the spread in week one. Usually, Vegas is always trying to get to a mean, right? 500. So it's like kind of like one team covers this week. Maybe they're not going to cover this week because they like to adjust. But when you get two of them that both did in the first week, I'm looking at where this number's going, and it's like, wow, everyone's kind of thinking the Chiefs did that to the Cardinals. What if the Cardinals maybe aren't that good this year? Chargers are solid. 4.5, that's giving me a key number there. If this is a 3-point game, I'll take that any day of the week. And I could honestly see that's one of those toss-up games where you could see the Chargers winning that, announcing themselves in prime time. So, again, kind of my theme for the week, I never place a bet until basically right before kickoff because so many things can change. But I've marked it down to keep an eye on throughout the week. And luckily, we have it in just a day. Plus 4.5 right now. I think that's a bit too large for me in a primetime game.
For sure. My next one is Pittsburgh versus New England. Pittsburgh right now is the dog.
Yeah.
How? I mean, yeah, TJ Watt got hurt. He's not going to be in the game.
Yeah.
But the rest of that defense absolutely destroyed the Bengals. And I know that the game was close and it went to overtime, but I know the Bengals offensive line is bad.
Mm-hmm.
But dear God, they hassled him all game. And why are we high on New England? They looked shitty. Mac Jones, if he does play, got a bummed back. They're going to get after him. I mean, I don't understand why New England's the favorite. So go ahead and give me Pittsburgh in this one.
Some competition. I love it. This is a classic Vegas trap game. One team covers, Steelers go outright win, Super Bowl hangover perhaps for the Bengals. New England always does terrible in Miami. Again, they looked terrible. I mean, they lived up to it. Mac Jones, was he injured? Results come back normal. There's a reason Vegas made Patriots the favorite here, and I'm just going to take it -1.5. I might look money line in case this is like a 1-point game because that half kind of scares me. But yeah, something's up here. Vegas, I mean, look at that Seahawks game, right? I was on the Seahawks on Monday. People are thinking, oh, this should be a blowout. Broncos end up outright losing. I mean, I'm always just kind of like, is this too good to be true? Steelers +1.5. And I'm kind of pessimistic. So that's what I'm thinking. I'm keeping an eye on this one. New England right now, -1.5. We'll see if that moves throughout the week. But yeah, that's one of those where Vegas is just toying with us, as public bettors.
Yeah, I'll leave this one for last because it's probably my most controversial one. Let's go to Denver and Houston. The spread is supposed to be about 10 points, if I saw that correctly this morning. Did we not see the Broncos play last week against Seattle? Did we not see Houston tie with the Colts last week? I mean, Broncos didn't look good last week. Texans, I'm not going to say they looked good, but they hung with a team that they shouldn't have. I think 10 points is too big of a spread. I definitely think it's going to be under that and possibly an upset again on the Houston Texans side, and the Broncos possibly fall 0-2, which is not the way I thought the season would start, but that's kind of the grim reality for me as a Broncos fan.
I'm staying away from this game because I think, the line's too big. But then I also look at it, Denver's at home. They're going to get up for that. They're trying to get Russell Wilson in the win column, their first game, and getting to see him in front of the home crowd. Texans tied that home game. Now they're going to the Mile High City. Something's up there. Again, I'm with you. I could kind of see it going either way, but I'm looking for a bounce back from Denver and maybe a letdown from the Texans, but officially a pass for me.
And something to talk about a little bit just to end on Denver. How about Russell Wilson coming out of the tunnel in Seattle and just getting unanimously booed?
I felt bad
going out for his first drive, getting unanimously booed. I mean,
yeah.
I think back to the last time a major quarterback changed teams. Makes me think back to Peyton Manning. His first visit back to Indy, got a package made for him. Everybody clapping for him, just loves him. Seattle's pissed.
Which I don't understand. And I think they're a little entitled for that. That dude got you a Super Bowl. He brought you to another. And, it wasn't, I guess he kind of wanted out, but it was like for a good reason because the Seahawks were rebuilding and literally not doing anything to protect them. Yeah. So, I mean, fans have the right to boo, but I thought it was a little unjust.
Yeah, especially the magnitude that it came in. It was a little
Oh,
surprising to me.
yeah.
Let's go with another one that I like. Picked him last week. Minnesota over Philly. Minnesota, yeah, Green Bay's on the fritz. They'll probably look better at the end of the season, but Minnesota looked really good. You know who looked even better? Justin Jefferson.
Oh, yeah.
No, no one can cover the guy. Let's be honest. Philly let Detroit hang in a game, and Amon-Ra St. Brown went off for like 20 fantasy points. Justin Jefferson, no offense to St. Brown, but Jefferson is a lot better.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and Minnesota is the dog in this one as of right now. So I would like to take Minnesota as well in that game.
Yeah, I two teams I think are a little bit overrated. Again, the Vikings completely dominated. I still just hit the pause button. They're so much better at home. We always got to be wary of prime time Kirk Cousins. Again, line's interesting to me. Philly, I'm kind of a non-believer in both these teams, even though they're collectively by the public viewed as playoff contenders this year. So they're going to keep proving me wrong, but one team's got to fall this week. It's going to be interesting to see who it's going to be. The total's at 51, so and it's shooting up. So expecting a good game, and yeah, I wouldn't be shocked to see either side go on.
Well, and I'm a Minnesota believer this year. After seeing last year, they were starting to put stuff together, just falling short in games. Week one looked good, so
Yeah.
I mean, I was pretty high on them last year. Like maybe they can win more games than they're losing this year. I think they're getting better. And Green Bay's defense, you normally can count on Green Bay's defense to be pretty good. That's
Yeah.
why they, as a team, have been really good. And Minnesota went out there and just slaughtered them. So I like Minnesota. Now let's get to my two upset games.
Okay. Love it.
Chicago over Green Bay. Chicago is right now sitting at plus 400.
Oh, yeah.
I like that. I like that. Green Bay looked like shit. Yes, I know that Aaron Rodgers wants to, tell Chicago he owns them, but I don't know. And I still think that offense is going to be very shaky. I still don't think they're going to get their rhythm. I don't honestly know how Chicago is going to look when you play in a pool.
That was crazy.
It doesn't, you can't get an accurate read on talent, but at plus 400, that's fairly large. And Green Bay doesn't look good. So I like Chicago for that one.
This is I'm sorry to go against you like this. This is my play of the week. So I went 1-2 last week because I had the Commanders, I was on the Rams, Bills looked good, and then we were both on the Cardinals. Commanders, though, again, that was the one I was confident in. I threw them in the Survivor. They ended up, cashing me in that. I love the Packers this week. Total, I'm scared about it. But here's the thing. It's like they're coming home. They're minus 10. That's another one of those like the Broncos where it's like, damn, is this going to be a blowout? Who knows? Bears, Justin Fields looked terrible. Again, everyone will look terrible in that slosh fest. But I still don't know what we're getting from Fields. I think the Packers are pissed. Remember what Rodgers has done the last 2 week ones, and he's gone on to win the MVP both years. I think this is a total get right game. A lot of people are thinking like you is like, wait a second, this is, everyone's on the Bears. Yet this line is moving towards Green Bay. So I'm like, all right, you know what? I'm not going to throw them in a money line parlay, in case that is going to be that upset, because upsets can happen in the NFL any given Sunday. But I think that minus 10 might be in play, and we'll see what it kind of moves towards.
My last one, Seattle and San Francisco. San Francisco is in the same boat as Chicago from last week, playing in it looked like a foot of standing water. It's going to be tough to play well in those conditions. But give me Seattle over San Francisco. They're at plus 360. The point spread is about at 10, and the over under is at 42. I still take the under there because I don't think both teams are going to score all that much because Justin Fields isn't great. Trey Lance is still getting acclimated into actually being a starting quarterback. So I like Seattle, and I like taking that under of 42.5.
I like that under. That thing's moving down. Kind of the same thing. I like the big home favorites this week that nobody's talking about after the, piss poor week 1 performances. I'm not a Trey Lance believer, but again, I'm a believer in maybe that rain was, crazy. I'm not a Shanahan believer, but I'm also, Seattle, I think that was a scheduling spot. Pete Carroll revenge game. The 12's booing them. That's a great home field advantage, prime time. And now they're going to be forced to go on the road. I think Geno's going to get absolutely destroyed by that defensive line. I think similarly with you, this is going to be another like 21-3 game or something real low scoring. And I could see honestly another one where it's like San Fran. Everyone's like in Seattle. This has already moved a point towards San Fran. I don't like it, but sometimes I like following the money, and that's what it's telling me right now.
And I'll be honest, I'm not going to say I'm a Geno Smith believer, but he looked pretty dang good against a Broncos defense that is also supposed to be pretty good. So,
yeah,
his first half comparison was like 17 of 18, 2 touchdowns. I mean, not saying he's going to do that all season, but he looked pretty good. I think he has the chance to carry it over against San Francisco.
Effective, yeah. Before we get into DFS and props, I do just want to talk about a few more games, kind of rapid fire here, and get your thoughts. Commanders, I was all over them in week 1. So, if you caught my theme, I usually stray away from teams, in bounce back scenarios. I don't understand this. They're dogs at Detroit plus 2.5. Detroit has been an underdog in, I think I just saw the stat, 24 straight games. They've been an underdog in 24 straight games. They're favored. Come on. What's going on here? Everyone's on Detroit too. So that's where I'm like, all right, this can't be. I could see Detroit winning this game. I'll take the points, 2.5. If this is close, Detroit loves playing in 1-score games. So, I'm liking that for the Commanders. Again, keeping an eye on that. That might even move more towards Detroit, and I would take that again. What do you think about the Jets? It's announced Joe Flacco's playing, the Browns favored. That was a game I want to talk about from last week was, oh my God, Matt Rule, Baker Mayfield, classic. They lost, the Browns win. But now the Browns are favored all of a sudden. 5.5 might be too much for me, even though none of us like Joe Flacco.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm honestly not excited about this game at all. But I honestly don't even know what to think because this is one of the games that because I do a straight pick 'em.
Yeah.
This is one of the games I'm sitting there thinking for like 15 minutes. Who the hell do I pick?
Yeah.
The Jets didn't look good.
No.
Browns won. So I think it's going to be the Browns game. I don't think it's going to be pretty. But if they lean on those 2 running backs like they normally do, both of them looked really good last week. So
yes,
I just think they got to lean on that. And we'll see what the Jets offense can do. I'm kind of pulling for the Jets during the season because Garrett Wilson, Ohio State guy.
Sure.
So I want to see him do good, but I'm still not a Jets believer.
Are you off the Cardinals bandwagon after their decimation last week? Because this line is super interesting to me, and this might be an underdog play for me. Why do we like the Raiders? What are we doing here? 5.5 at home after they lost and didn't cover. I get it. Arizona looked terrible now too, but 5.5 is interesting to me. Plus 210. Kyler Murray was fine. It was all in garbage time, but too much of a discrepancy there for I think 2 evenly matched teams.
I think the only reason is that the Raiders had a chance to win.
Sure.
They kept up with the Chargers, who I'm pretty sure we all view as a top tier team. So the fact that they hung in there with them, Devontae Adams looked like Devontae Adams, just in a different jersey. In Arizona, looking as bad as they did against Kansas City. I think that's why everybody's on the Raiders. I'm picking the Raiders just in straight up pick 'em.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I'm hoping to see more out of Arizona. I've got more faith in them than I probably should, but I still think the Raiders get it done. I'm not sure what the lines are, the over-unders, and all that is, but uh,
in terms of
I do
straight
like
up.
the Raiders more than the Cardinals.
Last two, just kind of on my radar, two games people are probably, hating. Titans +10 at the Bills. I know the Titans look disgusting. Of course, they lost to the Giants. I'm going to ask you on my show if it's time to kind of push the panic button on Derrick Henry, but we'll get into that coming up. And yeah, so that's interesting to me. I don't know. Is it do the Titans bounce back for the Titans, let down for the Bills? I'm keeping an eye on that one. And then nobody likes Dallas, huh? +8, no quarterback, Cooper Rush. Remember Cooper Rush when he was a starter last year? He beat the Vikings at their place. I just want that line is flying away from the Bengals, a team that just lost at home to the Mitch Trubisky and Steelers. Keeping an eye on that one.
Yeah, I'm hoping for my own selfish fantasy purposes because I had Dak Prescott and I had him stacked with CD Lamb. So now I'm stuck with CD Lamb and no Dak Prescott. I'm hoping Lamb can still get a decent fantasy day out of it. I believe in Cooper Rush? No. But the one thing that did look good about Dallas last week was their defense. Their defense looked pretty good against a Buccaneers team that honestly is, I mean, you have your questions about Tom Brady. We do every single year. He always performs better than everybody thinks of him aging. And they played pretty dang good against that offense. Bengals have a terrible offensive line. I feel like it's gonna be pretty low scoring, to be honest, because I think if the Bengals could protect Joe Burrow, this would be a blowout the Bengals way. I still think the Bengals pull it off, but it's going to be a lot closer than maybe the numbers show.
Yeah, 8. I mean, you're getting a full touchdown in there. Yeah, my last thing from last week was there was a point where I literally thought the Falcons were going to win and the Colts were going to lose. And then of course the Falcons, I'm glad I left that behind. They were like 97% chance to win in the fourth quarter. And of course they lost to the Saints. I'm staying away from their match. They got the Rams this week. Everyone thinks it's +10. It opened at +13. People think the Falcons are getting it done. Yeah, I could see it either way. That's a crapshoot.
I'd be happy if the Rams had their bounce back week, led by Matt Stafford, another one of my quarterbacks in fantasy. And we just talked about the Commanders. I had to pick up Carson Wentz to replace Dak Prescott. So hopefully he has at least another decent day. I think it was the quarterback 3 last week. So get another top 5 out of him against a bad team. I'd hope so. All right. So let's hop into DFS, which luckily enough, this just leads right into my DFS. My quarterback I'm taking, Carson Wentz. He's projected 18.3 going against Detroit. 5,800, pretty good deal for the quarterback 3 of last week.
Yeah, I do got to toot my own horn here, though. The DK lineup I gave out in a 14-person league we do kind of weekly took home first place, so a little cash day there. I'm pulling up who I had. I mean, Taylor was insane. Shout out to you. You loved Michael Pittman. I threw him in there. Lamar did his thing. Dotson did his thing when he was catching his passes. He was in the end zone, so that was a big stream. And as much as I don't like this guy succeeding, how about RB1 Saquon Barkley absolutely torching it off? So that was last week. Okay, so let's go into this week. I've got the lineup, and we just talked about him. I've got Matt Stafford, bounce back. I hope that arm is not about to fall off. Falcons like to give up points. Look what Jameis just did to them, and he's still not really rostered in most leagues. So I love starting with Stafford there.
Yeah. And going back to last week, I did give you the love on Michael Pittman. I gave a little too much love, though, because he's part of the reason I lost one of my leagues. So a little too much love to Pittman there. You just talked about him. Running back 1 for me is going to be Saquon Barkley. 17.4 going against Carolina, who just gave up quite a bit of points to not only Kareem Hunt, but also Nick Chubb. So Saquon looked super good last week. If he doesn't get hurt, we can expect that again, I think. So he's 7,300. I was able to spend more on running backs and receivers this week because of matchups I chose down the line. But I like Saquon. And then I love this. Broncos homer here. Javonte Williams, projected 16.1, going against Houston, and he's 6,500. He had 11 catches last week. He's a receiving back?
Yes.
And can run people over? Yes, please. Especially against Houston, where Jonathan Taylor just scored nearly 30 points last week.
Mm-hmm.
If Javonte gets even half the receptions and 100 yards and a touchdown, he'll have somewhat of a similar line there. So give me Javonte against Houston.
Love it. Love it. Yeah, I'll give you 3 here that I'm trying to choose between for 2 spots at the running back position. I'm going to have Chase Edmonds in there. Just kind of got it done. 10 points. We'll take it. Kind of priced in. Can give me some wiggle room there at other positions. If I'm trying to spend in the running back position, I'm throwing Saquon in there again. Why not? That's the hot hand right now. And then my other guy to look at for maybe a cheaper option is Henderson Jr. What's going on with Cam Akers? He's stealing a lot of those touches. He's been reliable for a couple of years in that Rams backfield and against the Falcons. So maybe he'll just run the ball out. You brought up a great point with Jonathan Taylor, went off, but a lot of that was like in the second half. I was like, damn, is he in for a dud? And then they just finally a $160, Jonathan Taylor.
Yeah. I do like Darrell Henderson, honestly. And if he's a cheaper option, gives you, like you said, more wiggle room later on. He's somebody I picked up in actual fantasy, and I'm going to start this week. So hopefully this isn't the week now that Cam Akers is like, okay, I'm actually going to touch the ball.
Yeah.
But had a solid game as well. I think he had, 12 points. If he punches one in the end zone, if the Rams are actually moving the ball this week, that jumps up to about 20. So I like that option. And if it's cheaper than Barkley,
yep,
go for that. That would be my thought process there. Wide receivers. I got to indulge a little bit at wide receiver, taking Mike Evans, projected 15.3. No Chris Godwin, more than likely. It's a hamstring injury, so we know how those go. Going up against New Orleans, then taking him again. Michael Pittman, 15 points this week. 6,700 going against Jacksonville. I don't see him slowing down. I mean, he's the number 1 receiver with a pretty good quarterback going against Jacksonville. Probably going to score another touchdown, maybe hopefully get another 10 receptions. So I like that. And then I believe I picked him last week too, but Amon-Ra St. Brown had a 20-point game last week. He's only projected 13.5, but he's 6,500 going against Washington. So I like that as well.
Receivers, I've got Kupp in there. Death taxes, Cooper Kupp. I think they're going to torch. I mean, they did that to the Bills, that tandem. Obviously Kupp a lot better than Stafford, but I think they're about to do the same thing to the Falcons, and hopefully that's a little better stack this time. Deontay Johnson, again, hopefully he's a little bit more healthier this week. I'm throwing him in there again, hoping for that boom potential. And then I'm toying between these two. If I'm going cheaper with Henderson and Edmonds, I'm throwing in your boy Mike Evans, going to get a touchdown probably. And then if I am going with Barkley and Edmonds, then I'm going to throw Judy in, who had a nice game with Russell Wilson. So that works for me at receiver.
Especially if you're thinking bounce back for the Broncos this week. Jerry Judy, he had the only touchdown?
Only score, yeah.
So and it was a deep one. So that would be good too if you want to go the Barkley route. And like you said, Mike Evans is bound to score a touchdown anyway. So either option I think is pretty good. At tight end, I went real cheap, but he had 2 touchdowns last week. I don't know if it's going to continue. OJ Howard, he's only projected 3.5 points going against Denver, who gave up a long touchdown to Will Disley last week. So, why not? They didn't cover the tight end last week. OJ Howard got 2 touchdowns last week. I'll go for it. And it's 3,000, so pretty cheap for the tight end position.
In my Barkley lineup, I'm throwing Higbee in at tight end, and then I'm throwing Logan Thomas in at the flex, who's, speaking of cheap options, at tight end. And so actually Logan Thomas is going to be in my tight end slot for the Henderson lineup with Evans in at receiver. And then I'm flexing Chase Claypool. So kind of that's how the money balances out. And I'll just wrap up my lineup because my defense is same for both of them. Bengals. So again, I guess I was saying the Cowboys, but Cowboys +8. We were both talking about how that could be just such a low scoring game, and maybe the Bengals defense feasts.
Right. I'm going Dotson in the flex.
Yes.
I mean, might as well. He had a touchdown last week and had, I think, 5 catches. So why not? It's a offense that apparently likes to pass the ball. Not to Terry McLaurin though. That didn't make any sense to me. But I'll take Dotson there, 4,200 against Detroit. And for my defense, I kind of shit on the Patriots earlier, so give me the Pittsburgh defense. I don't think New England's offense is going to do a whole lot. In last week, Pittsburgh's defense, I don't know how much they scored last week, but it was a lot. They had 5 turnovers, a block kick. So give me them in 2,800. That's real lucrative for a defense that scored a lot last week.
Yeah, I think it was 26 they put up. They were defense 1 going away.
All right, so let's finish up the show with the prop bets, of course. We're going to start at the quarterback position. We've talked about these two quite a bit. Carson Wentz or Matt Stafford, who's going to have more fantasy points? Wentz against Detroit, Stafford against Atlanta.
5-1 in props last week. I'm trying to stay hot. You said it. I did pick up Wentz in a lot of my leagues because I need to stream. Like Aaron Rodgers is having me freak out a little bit. Stafford's kind of freaking me out a little bit. I think they both have a big week. You said passing yards or
fantasy points?
Fantasy points. Wow. You know what? I'm going to go with Wentz then. I think he was a top 5 performer last week. I think he keeps it going.
Selfishly, I have both of these guys in 2 different leagues.
Same.
The league I'm going to need the most help in is the league that I have Matt Stafford in. So I'm going to have to go Matt Stafford for more fantasy points on that one. Then the head-to-head Thursday night matchup, Mahomes or Herbert, who's going to have more passing yards?
God, Mahomes went absolutely nuclear last week. Herbert was fine too. I'll go Herbert. I think the Chargers are going to have a good game. I honestly think they might win that.
Yeah, I'm on Herbert too. He's my boy. And Mahomes is going to go against a better defense this week.
Right.
Not saying he's going to have a bad game, but I think possibly the Chiefs are going to be leading in that game. So Herbert's going to have to be throwing more. So I'm going to take Herbert on that. Saquon Barkley, higher or lower than 20 fantasy points against Carolina?
God, that's good. I'll go lower. I think he has a good game, but 20 I think is a bit high.
I'm going to go ahead and go higher on that. I don't have him in any leagues, but I liked what I saw last week. It's the flashes we saw from last year.
Yeah.
Must be fully healthy, and he's that Giants offense. So go ahead and give me more than 20 there. Javonte Williams or Joe Mixon, more receptions. Williams going against Houston had 11 last week. Mixon going against Dallas had 7 last week.
I'm going to go Williams. I think that's more part of the game plan is getting him the ball through the air. I think Mixon, good God, Joe Burrow is running for his life. He was just checking down so much. So I think I'll take the opportunity there with Williams.
Yeah, I'm taking Williams too because 1, it's a Broncos homer pick. 2, I have Williams in a league, so 11 catches is real nice. Got to speak it into existence, or however the astrology girls say, manifest it, or whatever they say. Cooper Kupp or Devontae Adams, more fantasy points. Kupp is going against Atlanta. He had 31.8 last week. Adams going against Arizona had 30.1.
Yeah, wow. 2 good games coming up again. If we're going selfishly, I'm going Kupp. You got him in a lot of my leagues and in my DK.
Yeah. Sadly, I'm going to have to go Kupp too. Atlanta, I think, is weaker. Cooper Kupp, regardless of how his quarterback plays, will score 30 points. So I'll take Kupp there. Pittman or St. Brown, more receptions. Pittman was against Jacksonville last week, had 9. St. Brown against Washington, he had 8 last week.
Give me Pittman. Yep, we're going to be finding Matt Ryan likes feeding his guys. He's going to keep doing it.
That's what I'm going with as well. I hate to keep picking the same, but yeah, I think he's that number one guy. He's just going to keep getting fed. I do love St. Brown. Hopefully he continues to get a lot of receptions just because I like him. Now we're on to the tight ends. Some duddy tight ends. Robert Tonyan, I think he's going to end up being the one. Higher or lower, 10 fantasy points this week. He had 6.6 last week. He's going against Chicago.
I'll go over. Tight end position has been so bizarre the last couple of years. I just had to drop Gesicki. I'm like picking up Gerald Everett. I don't feel great about him. But yeah, I'll go over for Tonyan because I think the Packers have a big game.
Yeah, and again, I picked up Tonyan as my tight end too in literally every single league. Didn't know what it was going to look like, but he dropped far enough. So I'm going to go higher there as well. I think if the Packers offense is going to get going at all, it's going to start going through Tonyan. So I like the higher there. And Kyle Pitts only had 2 catches last week. Going against the Rams this week, higher or lower, 4.5 receptions.
4.5. Give me lower. Bust. Pitts. Leave me Falcons fandom. God, what a disgusting team and franchise. Yeah, give me under for fun.
I'll go higher. I think he's still their number one. Mariota just needs to figure that out.
Right.
Honestly, is what I think it is. So I'll take Pitts higher there, and it gives us another one to be different with.
Yes, love it.
That is it for this week of Lucky Bets, guys. Check out Dylan Corbett everywhere, YouTube, Twitter, all of those things. He's got plenty going on, plenty of content for you to watch. And then I'll be on his show right after we record this. So, and again, everyone wish Dylan a happy birthday. It's a couple days late, but we didn't record until today. So thanks for being on.
Thank you, sir. Yeah, appreciate it. Looking forward to next week too.
Heck yeah. We'll see you guys next week. Have fun and go make some money.